Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So far this year in 2025, President Donald Trump has made some big changes to Social Security. In today's video, we're going to be covering all those changes plus one extra change he hopes to make by the end of this year, which for millions of Social Security beneficiaries would amount to a pretty substantial increase. But before we go ahead and dive into it for today, if you would like to receive up to $200 in free stock or $200 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Robinhood. All you have to do is once you click on that link is just sign up for a free account and then simply link your bank account. You do not even have to make an opening deposit. At that point in time, Robinhood will be sending you one free stock worth all the way up to $200. And if you'd really just have the cash, all you have to do is once you receive the free stock is just sell it for what it's worth and then transfer the cash value right back to your bank account. Okay, so diving right into it for today. So once again, so far this year, since Trump was inaugurated into office back in January, he's already made some pretty sweeping changes to Social Security. In today's video, once again, we are going to be going over all of the changes so far that he's made, plus one additional big change that he still wants to make, one of his big campaign promises that he still wants to fulfill by the end of this year, which if he does fulfill this promise, it is going to amount to a pretty substantial increase for millions of Social Security beneficiaries. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into it. This is from the Motley Fool. So they say that first off, Social Security is struggling to support an aging population. The number of recipients that collect benefits is growing faster than the number of workers that pay taxes to support the program. Social Security costs have exceeded revenues since 2021, and the problem is only getting worse. So Social Security is expected to run cash deficits totaling $3 trillion over the next decade, and it faces a 75-year funding shortfall exceeding $23 trillion. Consequently, the Congressional Budget Office says the Social Security Trust Fund, the account that pays benefits, will be exhausted by 2034. Importantly, that does not mean benefits will completely vanish. So whenever Social Security was first started, there were always more young people, young workers paying taxes into the system than there were older people who were then receiving Social Security benefits. But over the years, people have been having fewer and fewer kids, so that ratio is now changing where we have less young people working and paying taxes into the Social Security Trust Fund, and we have more and more of the baby boomer population now retiring and collecting Social Security benefits. So now we have a ratio of more people actually receiving benefits and less people working, paying in the system. So now we don't have enough young working population paying taxes into the system to make it so everyone is going to be able to receive 100% of the benefit. And that's why come 2033 or 2034, if nothing is done, either by having a boosted more young workers paying taxes or raising the amount of taxes that they are paying in, the people who are working, then unfortunately there are going to be an automatic benefit cut across the board of anywhere between 19 to 26%. This is going to be incredibly unfortunate because right now the average benefit, if the cost of living adjustment over the next several years ends up being right around 2 to 3% on average, which is pretty typical, then at that point in time, there is going to be a 19 to 26% cut across the board. So at that point, the average benefit is going to be right around $2,500. Right now, the average benefit is right around $1,900 to $2,000. So a 19% cut on the low end. It could be as high as 26%. At that point in time, there would be a $475 decrease for someone receiving right around $2,500. That would decrease their benefit all the way down to $2,025 a month. That would be absolutely devastating for someone to have a 19% cut in their benefits. And once again, that is on the low end. Some people actually project it would have to come all the way up to 26%. So far as the changes that the Trump administration has made, They said that President Trump promptly created the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE for short, upon his return to the White House, making good on a campaign promise to eliminate wasteful spending and improve federal productivity. Now, the DOGE agenda has led to major changes at the Social Security Administration. So first off, they are reducing administrative expenses. So back in March, the SSA said it could save more than $800 million annually by cutting its workforce, canceling non-essential IT contracts, terminating property leases, and making miscellaneous changes to printing, travel, and purchase card policies. Secondly, they're also looking to strengthen identity proofing. So the SSA recently announced stronger identity proofing requirements to curb fraud. So effective April 14th, in just 1 week, benefit applications and direct deposit changes must be submitted online through the My Social Security portal or in person at a local field office. Requests will no longer be accepted by phone or on paper. So if you want to make any big changes like that, you will now have to do that online. Gone are the days where you can actually just call into Social Security if you want to change your bank account information. They're saying that's because there is a lot of fraud taking place where someone might call into SSA or say that they're like John Doe, they have John Doe's Social Security number, and they change John Doe's bank account, which he receives his Social Security checks, over to their bank account. So then they start receiving John Doe's Social Security checks, therefore committing all this fraud. Now, if you receive SSI or SSDI, you'll still be able to call in to SSA and make those changes. But if you're a retiree, you're now going to have to do this either online or in a field office. Now, thirdly, also, they're going to be recovering overpayment. So back in March, the SSA announced plans to raise the overpayment withholding rate to 100%. That means that retired workers that receive more money from Social Security than they are supposed to have all future benefits withheld until the balance is zero. So this was actually a really big story last year where we had thousands of Social Security beneficiaries receiving these letters in the mail that over the years the SSA had overpaid them by thousands of dollars, even people being overpaid by over $50,000, and they were told in these letters that they must pay the entire amount back. Even if it was like $75,000, they would have to pay that entire amount back to the SSA within 30 days, and if they were unable to do so, the SSA at that point in time would start withholding 100% of their benefits. And let's face it, most people don't have $50,000 or even $20,000 or even $10,000 sitting around to be able to pay back the SSA. And if you're living paycheck to paycheck on Social Security benefits and you really rely on these benefits, then having the SSA withhold 100% of your check would be absolutely devastating. We had people being evicted because they could no longer be able to pay their rent. Obviously, they couldn't pay groceries, they couldn't pay other bills. So because of all of that backlash, they actually changed that from 100% down to 10%, which even though 10% was, withholding a good bit of their check, at least it wasn't 100% of the amount. Well, that is now changing, starting because the Trump administration wants to boost that amount back up to 100%. Now, if you're already locked in at 10%, they cannot boost that up to 100%. So that is the good news. But for anyone who receives a letter, starting now, they will be taking 100% of your check until you're able to pay off whatever amount they overpaid you by. Now, they go on here to say that, importantly, less than 1% of Social Security benefits doled out between 2015 and 2022 qualified as improper payments, a category that includes overpayment and fraud. That means the SSA could save about $14 billion this year if it completely eliminated those errors. However, the agency estimates actual savings will total only $7 billion in the next decade. So those are the big changes that Trump has made so far this year. And then as far as another huge change, one of his campaign promises that he made while running for office against Kamala Harris was to eliminate taxes on overtime, taxes on tips, and taxes on Social Security. This is one of the big things that he does want to accomplish. However, he will have to get Democrats to also get behind this bill because nothing related to Social Security can be a part of that big reconciliation bill that they're currently trying to pass through Congress. And as you can see there, according to the Senior Citizens League, they estimate that eliminating taxes on Social Security benefits would save the typical senior household about $3,000 annually if implemented this year in 2025. So again, $3,000 saved, $3,000 not going back to the federal government in the form of taxation. That would pretty much amount to a $3,000 raise, which would be really huge. And as they also mentioned, there would also pretty much offset the lagging cost of living adjustments that have been taking place over the past 20 years, where they have really, quite frankly, just not kept up with inflation. But with that said, what do you think about getting rid of taxes on Social Security? Are you for it? Are you against it? Do you think it's a good idea? Leave your thoughts and comments below. But that's all we have for today's video, and I will see you in the next one.